Students. So we are back with chapter 5, part 1, 100 dresses, part 1. In the previous lesson, we got ourselves acquainted with the theme, with the summary, and the introduction part. Now it's time for us to get started with the summary. So by now we know that Wanda Petronsky was a Polish girl. She was very poor and shy and quiet, and she used to sit in the corner of room number 13, where normally it was believed that indisciplined boys they would sit there and they all the day used to make a noise. So no one in the class actually cared for Vanda's absence because it was Monday and Vanda didn't go to school. Vanda was, because she was very quiet, because she was very shy, she did not have many friends. So no one noticed her absence that day in the school. But whenever they used to find her, before this particular Monday, whenever the girls in the class used to find her, they had devised a game on their own. And when Vanda one day was introducing herself in the class, and she was telling her that her name was Vanda Petronsky, so one of the girls asked, "How many dresses do you have?" She said, "I have 100 dresses." And the girls and other boys in the class, they would start laughing at her. You can just imagine the students, classmates poking and making fun at Vanda. It's just some picture, not the original one. So now we know that she didn't have many friends and she came from Boggins Heights. Boggins Heights is the name of the place where her residence was, where she used to live with her parents. And this was the area where not so wealthy, well off, rich people lived. Because she was poor, her father didn't earn much, so she used to live in a place called Boggins Heights. Her shoes were always muddy because the area she came from that was not so meant for poor and not meant for rich people, so she had to cross many muddy areas, so her shoes were always muddy. And Peggy, there were two girls in her class, I hope you know by now, Peggy and Maddie, though there were other girls also, but the main characters of our story are these. So Peggy would always question about her dresses, and Vanda, she would always wear a faded blue dress. It was not proper to her. It was ill fitting also, not ironed properly. So Peggy would make fun of Wanda. And you might have noticed many children making fun of other children just because of these factors that they are not wearing good dresses or good shoes. But we all are human and we all should respect and understand others' feelings and their problems in life, that not everyone is rich enough to afford everything. So, when Peggy would ask her how many dresses she had, Wanda replied that she had 100 dresses lined up in her closet. Listening to it all was very surprising for other girls, and they would laugh at this. And when she would add that she had 60 pair of shoes, so the girls would have a big time laughing at her. Just can imagine, this is Wanda Petronsky, probably in her faded blue dress, imagining that she had 100 dresses lined up. But when she answered this, girls like Peggy and Maddie, they would laugh at her because they knew that a girl who always wears one dress and muddy shoes, how could she afford having 100 dresses and 60 pairs of shoes? But she would say that all those colors, dresses and shoes, they were of different colors. At this time, all the students laughed. Maddie's behavior towards Wanda was a different one, though she never stood for her, stand, she never, took side with her, but she always felt pity on her. She didn't want to make fun of her. She didn't want Peggy also to make fun of her. Sometimes, when Peggy asked Maddie about her dresses, but she always looked it up. The reason was that Maggie herself was not a rich girl. She most of the times wore those dresses that were given to her mother by Peggy. And her mother used to alter those dresses, and Maddie used to wear those dresses. So she could not have the courage to enrage her best friend Peggy, because Peggy was the most liked girl in the whole class. She was beautiful, she was rich, she was talented, and that's why she didn't want to lose her friend. But side by side, she didn't like this fact that all other girls, including her best friend Peggy, they used to make fun of Wanda Petronsky just because of her dresses. Maddie did not have the courage to ask Peggy to stop making fun of Wanda. Reason I already have told you. Now, one day, Maddie decided to write a note to Peggy because she did not have the courage to speak all this to Peggy. So she wanted to write a note so that she could give it to Peggy, and Peggy probably could understand that it was not good to make fun of somebody. So she decided to write a note to Peggy. But suddenly she stopped writing. She saw it herself as a new target because she thought, once if Peggy somehow stops making fun of Wanda, then who would be the next one? She thought she was going to be the next target for Peggy and other girls, because Peggy might start asking her questions about her dresses, and how would she answer that she's wearing Peggy's old dresses which were given to Maddie's mother and who had trimmed and altered them for her. So, just to save herself from this humiliation, she did not have the courage neither to write a note nor to speak it to Peggy, so she let it happen with Wanda. This is Wanda making her drawings. So, when she could not muster the courage, Maddie tore the note into pieces. Then, things like this kept on happening in their classroom. There was a drawing competition in their school. Now, Mary started to think about the drawing competition. She thought Peggy would definitely be the winner because she was a good artist. Miss Mason, who was their class in charge or was their teacher, you can say, she announced the competition date, and the day soon came when the competition was held, and the next day the result was to be declared. Peggy and Maddie, they were actually not waiting for Wanda to come to school, and so that they could go to the classroom and listen to the result announcement, result declaration. They entered the classroom. They saw a lot of drawings hanged on some strings, some windowsills and window panes everywhere around room number 13. Hundreds of pictures of drawings were pasted or hung. Miss Mason announced the result. Among boys, she declared Jack Biggles had won the boys' medal, and among girls, she announced Wanda Petronsky to be the winner. But that day, Wanda was absent, and the teacher told everybody that Wanda Petronsky alone had drawn 100 designs of beautiful, colorful dresses, including Peggy and Maddie. All the students were surprised because they only had designed or drawn one or two dresses, and Wanda, she had drawn 100 dresses. So now you know from where do we get the title the 100 dresses. Though not physically she had all those 100 dresses, but her imagination, it made her rich, because in her imagination she could draw, she could make beautiful designs of the dresses, not only 100, more than that. Now the students, all the students including Peggy and Maddie, they clapped for Wanda, and they understood that nobody should be judged by the clothes or by the outer appearance. These are the quick revision notes. But before that, what happens when they realize that she is not coming back to school, and she has been the winner, so they decided to wait for her to come back so that they could congratulate her. Now this is up to us to see whether she comes back to school or not. What would Maggie and Maddie and Peggy do? How would they go and talk to Wanda Petronsky? What happens to her? This is next to be seen. So all this will we are going to read in 100 dresses too. But before that, in the next video, in the next lesson, e-lesson, we would be discussing the question answers of part 1. So before that, get acquainted with the chapter summary and revise it well. Thank you all.